Kensei Sacred Fist. This smacks of 90s Me Too Tekken clone.
Honestly, when me and Zoo picked it up, we actually had fun with it. The simple fact that it was dumb made it that much playable. I mean, just look at the sound bites when they go David Human. I think that's enough to make me play it. I don't know about you guys. Other than that, it's a really bad fighting game. I mean, it's like they take games like 3D games like Tekken and Soul Calibur, and then they just like add a bunch of unnecessary frames so that everything's negative. Combos get ridiculously broken. Akira's double over stun. Everybody's everything, I guess. The game is pretty bad.
Kensei Sacred Fist is just one of those strange games on the PS1 that was licensed by a notable company, but faded into obscurity, getting ported directly to the console with an arcade release, and for good reasons. The character choices range from boring to just plain bizarre. Is that Steven Seagal? Shaft? Sephiroth? Is that the vampire dude from Twilight? And there's a pro wrestler named David Human? What kind of a name is that? Trying to play Kensei is kind of like playing the original Virtual Fighter underwater with ankle weights. The game is just slow, agonizingly so, with no real movement options to speed up the gameplay. Another really strange thing is that there's no crouching in the game, meaning that you can't really tell if the opponent is blocking low until you actually try to hit him with a low attack. I know this makes the game seem more realistic, but it's really awkward and jarring. Attacking in this game is really a pure guessing game, since there's no real difference between the different types of blocking, and most of the moves that are worth using are jabs and other high-handed attacks anyways. Combos tend to come from moves that stun, and there's a lot of moves that seem to make unshakable stuns. When you figure out that the characters are judged by how well they stun, it becomes pretty easy to figure out the weak from the strong. David Human has some of the weirdest moves I've ever seen from a pro wrestler. Understandably, most of his moveset is made up of throws, but since all of them hit high and have no real difference in properties, aside from how they look, there's no real reason to do the more complicated command throws. Keep in mind that this game eats inputs like a 3-course meal, and that a lot of David's moveset involves him spinning the controllers like a friggin' helicopter. We were really at a loss for finding anything useful for him, outside of the moves we dubbed the Australian Nut Hug and Da Hands. The Australian Nut Hug is a tackle move that dodges high attacks and puts him in this really bizarre position, which somehow turns into a giant swing. I'm not going to ask, so neither should you. David's chop move is really good, since it knocks down and pretty much allows you to get a free German suplex afterwards. The really good part is that, for some reason, moves just kind of go through the hands, which leaves them open for the chop. So, as you probably guessed by now, the main strategy is pretty much just to throw out the hands like a ninny and hope it hits, which kind of becomes completely useless when fighting certain characters, Steven Seagal, since he can really just kick you in the nuts and just ruin your entire game plan. This is Akira. This is Akira's jab string. This is also safe. The last hit's a mid. This stun's a counter hit. You're getting the picture now? Oh, he has a really good low too. It's unseeable. Really good character. Some characters have really dumb tools for no reason. Heinz's power shove is completely safe, hits mid, and gives enough advantage on hit for a running kick uppercut string? I don't know, but it launches, and he can get a combo afterwards. He has a move that beats out all wake-up attacks, and he can just step on you if you lay there. Or he can just use this really good punch move, which does a lot of damage if you just lay there too.
I'm very surprised that Konami produced this game. And I'm very surprised, well, I'm not surprised why this game didn't go into arcade. And there's a couple of reasons why. The most glaring one is that the game is so slow. The game feels like you're moving underwater half the time. And the game's animations are just terrible. Some things are just so, like, lovingly crafted, and they put so many frames of animation in it to really accentuate the punch. And then you have, like, footsies where they just, like, get moved over, like, a couple of pixels. Like, They're still standing, and they're just like being slid across the playing field, which is ridiculous looking. Why? Why is there stun? Why is there so much stun in this game? There doesn't need to be like 50 light years of stun. I know light years being a measure of, distance, stuff like that, but the game feels so long when you're put into a random stun, and this comes off anything. Certain moves stun for no reason, and these moves happen to be safe. So you can dial a phone, catch a bus, eat some pizza, throw out Akira's punch string, and then you go into knee because oh my god, it hit. It's time for me to do knee. And the great thing about it is that the stun stuns again. So you can do all sorts of stupid stuff. You can stun and re-stun and launch them, and then do whatever you feel like, because the game does not stop its stun mechanic. You can't shake out of it. You can't be like, LOL noob, I can't believe you don't know that you can really mash the buttons to get out of stun. I'm sure they did have that mechanic, but the thing is that the game is also really unresponsive. The game eats inputs. And David Human is a prime example of this. This guy has so many command throws for no reason. There's no it catches you ducking or it picks you up off the floor. No, he just has command throws. And half of them are useless because you can't do it. You can't make them work because you have to rotate the pad like a friggin' helicopter, and the thing doesn't even respond half the time. So what's the point? There is none. This game is average at best. Just another bargain game you can find and be like, hey, have you ever heard of Kensei Sacred Fist? We should totally play this game. This game is totally not gonna suck. It's one of those diamonds in the rough that no one ever knows about. Come on, Metal Gear Solid. Come on, it's Konami. It can't be bad. Come on, Kensei Sacred Fist. You play Sephiroth, man. Game can't be bad.